Hey everyone, it's Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I was sent a smoking hot copy of Rallyman GT by Luma Imports, published by Holy Grail Games. You guessed it, this is a racing game where you push your luck each turn by choosing dice and then rolling them. Other cars or restrictions on the track can be tricky, and you need to decide how to maneuver your car and if you accelerate or coast or if you need a brake. Because the track is built with hexagon tiles so that you can race many different tracks, changing the lengths and the curves and everything about the track. And don't forget about the weather. Cross the finish line first and win the race. Let's set up the game. So you can decide to build your own track, or you can check out some pre-made, ready to race on tracks near the end of the rulebook. Let's race on this one right here. Just so you know, a 30-minute race is like 15 tiles in one lap. A medium length is 45 minutes long, and it's about 18 tiles in one lap, or 12 tiles taking 2 laps. And then a long race takes about 60 minutes or so, and it's 21 tiles doing 1 lap, or 16 tiles doing 2 laps. And of course, these are all estimations using 4 players in the game. Focus tiles are then placed near the track, and the damage tiles are added to the bag. And each player chooses a color and takes the corresponding car model, the driver card, the gear markers, and the asphalt tire dashboard. These are arranged in front of each player with their dashboard showing sunny weather. To determine starting order, take a gear marker for each player and randomly draw one by one. The first one drawn gets the pole position, which is the first row of the inside lane. Next draw gets this spot here, and then next is in this spot, and so on. In the game, player order will change depending on your car's speed and the location on the track. Now, all players will take their 0 gear marker with the white side up and place it near their car to start. To help keep track of rounds, you will be playing white and black rounds, placing your last speed marker down of the next color. Now, the priority factor for determining player order is speed. Whoever has the highest speed will begin the next turn. If 2 cars have the same speed, then whichever car is further down the track will go first. If 2 cars again are next to each other with the same speed, then whoever is on the inside will go first. Again, follow the order priority when determining player order each and every round. During your turn, you'll choose which dice to use, and then you will roll them to move your car. The black dice are the gear dice, and you can only use each number once per turn. And these dice need to be used in ascending and or descending order. When starting your turn at a speed above 0, then your first die can be 1 gear higher, the same gear, or a gear lower. If it's at 0, then it obviously needs to be 1 gear higher. The white dice are called the coast dice, and you can use one of these to move forward 1 space, remaining in the current gear. The red dice are the brake dice, and they will be used to drastically reduce your gear. You'll place the red die or the dice with a black die, reducing your speed in extra gear for each red die. You can never use the red die to reduce your speed to 0. You will combine acceleration, deceleration, braking, and coasting in any way that you would like on your turn. To help plan, players place their dice out on the track in order to indicate their movement for their turn. Besides the dice, you will want to pay attention to your dashboard. This card shows the type of car that you're driving and the types of tires and the weather condition. The weather will dictate how many dice that you have at your disposal each and every turn. You'll be rolling your dice each turn, trying to go the furthest that you can without spinning out. This icon here, which I will refer to as a warning icon, it can result on any number of your dice when rolled. Whenever you suffer the number of warning icons listed on the top right of your card, then you will officially lose control. When losing control, you'll need to look at the top tile where you lost control and see what color sign is present. It will be either a yellow, an orange, or a red sign. You will check your card to match the sign color with the speed when losing control, and you'll find out what your consequence is. Each black square shown indicates that that is the number of tokens needed to be drawn from the bag, leading to your consequences. This token here reduces the number of gear dice that you can use each turn. This token reduces the number of break dice, and this one reduces the number of coast dice. This token changes the weather, causing all players to flip their dashboard cards over. Note that when flipping the card, there is a new warning icon limit and different available dice. This token will be placed by your car and prevent you from overtaking any other car. You can't even move alongside another car. Once you move your car, you can remove the flag and place it on your dashboard. This last token here has no effect, and you just get very lucky. A loss of control is always resolved on the space where the final warning icon that caused the loss of control, whether from a die or on the track or a result from another effect. This loss of control ends that player's progression on the track and their turn. If the consequence says 0 gear, the car skids out and is placed on the track backwards, and that player will place a 0 gear on the side of that car. The car then can be turned around and played normally next turn. With a 00, the car spins off the track and is placed to the side of the track with the 00 gear placed near it. The next turn, this car is placed on the track facing backwards, and the 00 is switched to a single 0, and that's all you can do that turn. And then the next turn, you will then turn your car back around and continue playing. To help clarify, all dice that you rolled that have a warning icon symbol on it, they don't have effect until the player accumulates the amount shown on their dashboard, and at that point, they will lose control. Since the track is never just a straight line and there are other drivers, let's go over some rules of the road. Only one car is allowed on any space at a time. Cars have to move forward either straight or diagonally, changing lanes. Never laterally, but you can change lanes as many times as you would like. Corners have special restrictions that are shown on the tile. A number inside a circle in a space indicates that that is the highest gear a player can be in when driving over that space. Entering a space with a higher gear results in an immediate loss of control. You can, however, accelerate out of the space. If there is a number inside a triangle, then that is also the stated highest gear a car can be in while in that space. But if a car is in that number gear, then they will have a warning icon added to their result of their roll, increasing their chance to lose control. But when driving through these spaces, you can be in a lower gear with no penalty. If there is a number on a dotted line on both ends of a space, then depending on how the car enters that space, the speed limit can change to the stated number that's listed on the dotted line. This happens when a car enters the space via the same lane. Similarly, if a car leaves the space without changing lanes, then the speed restriction will be treated to the next space. Avoid the restrictions by changing in and out of lanes diagonally. When a warning icon is on the dotted line instead of a number, then if you're crossing the line in the same lane, then a warning icon result is automatically added to your roll, and the same when leaving in the same lane. Let's now talk about overtaking. This rule here is when entering a space adjacent to another player's car, you must use a gear die equal to or greater than the current gear of the other player's car. Once your car is besides theirs, the remaining movement can be of any speed. And there could be instances where you are blocked or can't pass another car, so your turn would then end. In the game, you'll need to take advantage of your dice, the corners of the track, and other drivers, as you can have advantage over others with good driving, or be left in the dust with poor planning. But once you've planned your turn, then it's time to burn rubber. Now that you have a good overview, let's cover specifics on rolling the dice and moving your car. Once you have chosen your dice, you'll place them out on the track in the order that you've chosen. You will either roll them all together at once or one at a time. Rolling them one at a time is the safer option, and you will move your car after rolling each die. And if you end up getting close to losing control, you can stop and not risk it moving forward, possibly losing control of your car by rolling a warning icon. As you roll, each warning icon is placed to the side so that you will know when you are risking moving forward. The risky option is going flat out, but you will be rewarded with focus tokens. After rolling all the dice, check to see if you hit your warning icon limit. If not, then you made it. Move your card to the end that was marked with the gear marker. If the warning icon is more than the number on your card, also of course including any additional warning icons on the track, then you lose control and the player will take their dice and lay them out again on the track as if they were planning a normal move. This plan doesn't have to be the exact same as before when rolling the dice, but the warning icon will need to be placed at some point, causing the card to lose control at that space. Whether your roll is successful or not, going flat out always causes you to gain the number of focus tokens as black and white dice rolled. These focus tokens represent the driver's skill and concentration and will help you get out of trouble. And going flat out is the only way to gain them. Also note, you can only use your focus tokens when you roll your dice one at a time. Players may use focus tokens on their dice at any time before a dice is rolled. A dice rolled can never be modified. Generally, you'll want to use your focus tokens when you've already rolled a dangerous amount of warning icons and you want to avoid losing control. Focus tokens are used to secure the dice without rolling it. The first die costs 1 focus token. The second die costs 2 focus tokens, the third die costs 3, and so on. You can spend as many focus tokens as you would like, as long as you have enough of them. If you're using tokens for a break die, then you need to pay enough tokens for all the dice in that space. The last thing we need to talk about is pit stops. If you take on too much damage or you need to change tires to cope with weather changes, then you will take a pit stop. To do this, you'll end your turn in first gear in a space with no restrictions, so not on a corner spot. You'll choose to place either the 0 or the 00 marker down where you ended your movement, and you'll place your car in one of the 3 lanes on the pit stop tile. To change tires, you'll place a 0 marker and change your dashboard card to the card with the different tires with the same color and category on it. For repairs, you'll place the 00 marker and you can remove all damage tokens from your dashboard, placing them back into the bag. And again, next turn, the 00 turns into a single 0, and the turn after that, you will play as normal. The last lane lets a player do repairs and change tires, and they will place the 00 marker down and follow the previously stated rules to get back driving. Players take turns moving their cars and rolling dice, and a turn ends when a player has either finished their move action, they are blocked and can't move any further, or they lose control. The first player to cross the finish line during their turn is the winner, unless of course you're doing 2 laps. In that case, you better keep your momentum and cross the finish line again. Now this is such a great race game. I kind of feel ashamed I've never played the previous edition. Now let me say that there are other great racing games out there as well, but it depends on the type of racing game that you want to play. This game is the racing game that is heavier in complexity and feels the most like you are actually racing on the track. You can take risks on how fast and how far you go each turn, and while doing that, you also are maneuvering around other players who can block you, or you can block them, and also maneuvering around the corners that make things a little more interesting. The rules aren't necessarily hard to understand or super complex. They just explain the system of how you use the dice to control your car, and it will have all the rules that you will need to know for any circumstance that you find yourself in. So understanding these rules can take a while to explain to new players, but they're super important in the game, and if you understand the concepts, you will do great. I'd like to say, once players have played the game a couple times, it's not hard to remember these rules. And only maybe little details would probably need to be re-examined when playing the game later in the future. One of my favorite things in the game is choosing to roll all the dice or just one at a time. I feel like this decision alone causes a little more anxiety, as you could be earning these focus tokens, but you could also have a bad roll and cause your car to lose out of control, and then you'll have to catch up to the rest of the group on later turns by pushing your luck a little bit more, slowly inching your way up back to the lead. The tiles make it great to change and create your own tracks each and every time that you play. And if you're not creative with this, just use the pre-made ones in the back of the rule book. No biggie at all. Those tracks are great. There is a lot more strategy in the game than you first realize, as you can block players, or players can block you, or they might not even mean to block you, and you might accidentally block yourself by not paying attention to the possibility and then realizing, oh wow, I can't move anymore. Dice. Now, do you not like the luck factor when rolling them? Well, gain some of these focus tokens and you will soon be able to mitigate the roll of the dice, and you will continually be able to move on the track. And I like that you can only use them when you roll the dice one at a time, so you can't accumulate the focus tokens and use them at the same time. I feel like the change in weather didn't really add much anything to the game. It changes the dice that you can use, but it changes that for everyone. So I just didn't feel like it did much to the game. It just changed how fast you move on the track, but everyone is changing how fast they move on the track. But I might just not be figuring out how to capitalize on the change either. I wish the cards were a little bit cooler than they are, just a small piece of plastic, but the gameplay is just fantastic. And if you are looking for more complex racing games, then this is definitely the one that you'll want to play. Plus, it can play up to 6 players, which is just great fun, full of mayhem on the track. Put on your helmet and grab your dice so that you can cross the finish line first in Rallyman GT by Holy Grail Games. And thank you Luma Imports for bringing it to the United States. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.